And tonight is the yard site of the Arizal. The Arizal was the author of the Kabbalah. His name was Rabbi Isaac Luria. So, in his honor, let's have a smoke. And contemplate some of the teachings of the holy Rabbi Isaac Luria, the holy lion. Ari means lion in Hebrew. Let me get one of his books off of my library, and I will teach you some of the words of one of the greatest rabbis and Kabbalists who ever lived. Stay right there. Don't turn this off. We're going to be reading from the laws that the Arizal taught. Now there's an intense connection between law and Kabbalah. Kabbalah does not exist in a vacuum. It's not philosophy. It's not just sitting and thinking and smoking your pipe. You're not actually doing anything. All of the laws of the Torah are expressions of the secrets of the Kabbalah. Let's read some of the laws of the Arizal. For instance, the legal foundation for the Arizal's customs, the very customs of this man being instituted into law, comes from one of the major commentaries on the code of Jewish law, the Shulchan Aruch, called the Magen Avraham, a great Ashkenazi rabbi. The Magen Avraham was widely respected by all Orthodox Jews as an authority for many generations, especially for the Ashkenazim. He made the statement that the very customs of the Arizal can be taken as mitzvot, or otherwise as laws. That if somebody starts doing it, not every one of them is something that everybody has to do. But once somebody starts taking on a custom, they have to continue. And if they don't, they have to release. It's like taking a vow, and the Torah teaches us just in last week's Parsha that everything that comes out of one's mouth he shall do, and he shall not break his word. So that includes taking on a custom, even if it's not. It's like even if it does an action 3 times. He's created a chazakah. I don't know how to say that in English. 3 times he has created a precedent by repeating a good custom, a good law 3 times. And then at that point, if he stops doing it, it's a problem. Unless he did it, when he did it, he said he does not have any intent in his heart to take this on as a custom. It has to have an acceptance in the heart. A Kabbalah shebalev. Kabbalah means reception. He received in his heart that he would indeed take on a new mitzvah, a new law. So, some of the basic laws of the Arizal. To pray from the siddur. Now, part of Jewish law, there's many laws, and every one of them is possible for every Jew. Every mitzvah is appropriate for every Jew, at every time, in every place. This is a given. And it's possible for a Jew to do every one of the mitzvahs. So you say, what? How can I do this? There's so many laws. well, one starts and one achieves an appreciation, and it's an acquired taste, like fine wine. You have the first cigar you have, your kid, he doesn't like it so much, it's bitter. And then he grows up and he likes cigars or a glass of wine. A kid doesn't like a glass of wine, but he acquires the taste for a good glass of wine once in a while. So too, the mitzvahs are sweeter than wine. Your kisses are sweeter than wine, it says in the Song of Songs. Your niceties are sweeter than wine. Tovim, your goodness is sweeter than wine. The Talmud says that refers to the laws in the Talmud, the rabbinic law. So, one of the customs of the Arizal was to pray from the siddur. There's a mitzvah to pray 3 times a day for an Orthodox Jew. According to the letter of the law, one needs to. The Torah says that we pray. There's a place in the Torah that commands us to pray, and that according to the letter of the law, it's only when one feels a need to pray. One feels a need to turn to God for help, or for thanks, or for just to praise. However, we always want to be in touch, and the question is, how close do you want to be? So these people with the tzitzit, the ritual fringes, and the mezuzahs on the door, they kiss the mezuzah on the doorway, and they wear the kippah. They're always, the first thing I heard from Shlomo Carlebach is these people, blessed memory, one of my teachers, is they're always looking for another mitzvah to do. Mitzvah is also a good deed to help another person. It's also what the laws that God asks us to do in the Torah. And so one of the laws is prayer, and the rabbinic law teaches us to pray 3 times a day, morning, afternoon, and in the evening. So how does one pray? One has a siddur, a prayer book. So the Arizal says that gam kol hazmirot v'hakarbanot, all of the psalms in the siddur, in the Sukkot Zimmer section in the morning prayer, there's a number of the Psalms of David that one recites, hopefully with deep intention if possible. And even before that, there's the recitation of the temple sacrifices. The prayer, it used to be that there was a prayer in the temple, when the temple was standing, until it was destroyed in our many sins around 2,000 years ago. It should be speedily rebuilt and in our days. Rebuilt speedily and in our days. It used to be that the temple sacrifice would atone for the sins of Israel. And ever since the temple was destroyed, we said, how could it be that the people of Israel can continue? So the prophet said, Nishalma farim svatenu, and we shall complete the bowls of the sacrifices with the words of our mouths, with our lips, with our speech and our prayer. Prayer is in place of the temple sacrifice. So instead of in other words, if you the idea in Judaism is if you learn and you study something that you can't physically do yet, we will at a good time, when God wills and when we are ready, we will have the temple again, and we will continue the sacrifices, and we will be able to offer sacrifices. Exactly how is a bit in discussion and planning right now, but until then, we don't sacrifice the actual animals or the grain offerings or the wine libations or whatever. It's the way it's written in the book of Leviticus, in the 5 books of Moses. You don't have that possibility now because of a real estate dispute. So what we do is we pray. We sacrifice our time. We sacrifice our very souls, like it says in the Psalms. LeDavid elecha nafshi yasa. Psalm of David. Unto you, God, I raise up my soul. We're sacrificing our souls. very time and our efforts and our sweat and our love and our fear is like we're offering it to God by standing before God in the morning and standing before God in the afternoon and in the evening in the prayer. The Arizal teaches that that his custom was to say everything from the siddur. He would look at the book. He would have his eyes on the siddur, and he would read the words. This is not actually a siddur, but he would read this word and this word and this word and look at it. He would pray from a siddur. Also, the recitation of the temple sacrifices and the Psalms of David and the Psuki de Zimra and the blessings before the Kriyat Shema, Hear O Israel, and the blessing afterwards, and the 18 benedictions, and then the continuation and the finishing of the morning prayer. He would say it all from the siddur that he had in his hand when he was praying. However, he always had the siddur in his hand, but the custom of the Arizal would be say all of the prayer while reading, just looking at the letters of the Torah and the siddur, but when he got to the silent standing prayer, the 18 benedictions, he would close his eyes and he would say it by heart. Also, the Arizal would close his eyes during the recitation of the prayer leader. So, in other words, Jewish prayer, the morning prayer, you have psalms, you have sacrifices first, and then the psalms, and then you have blessings, and then you have the Kriyat Shema, the Hear O Israel, Lord our God, the Lord is one, and then you have another blessing. And for all of that, the Arizal would just look at the holy letters of the Torah, and then he would close his eyes. When it came to stand up, to stand before God in the silent standing prayer of the Amidah, he would close his eyes and he would say the silent 18 benedictions. And then after the congregation finished the silent prayer and the prayer leader would do the repetition of the 18 benedictions, he would also close his eyes. And he would listen with great intent to the words of the prayer leader reciting the 18 benedictions. That is an example of a custom of a great and holy man, of the author of the Kabbalah, that is instituted into law. However, that was true in his generation, and that is true today for the Kabbalists and the Sfaradim. The Hasidim, particularly of the Chabad variety, and other Hasidim, they're not so strict about closing your eyes and saying it by heart. Our generation is a little lower, so we need an anchor. I was taught this by Rabbi Adin Steinsaltz. He said it's very easy for the mind to wander. We're a weak generation, so we need an anchor. And the anchor is the eyes looking at the letters, even of the silent standing prayer in the 18 benedictions. And that focuses us. I heard from another Chassid of the Chabad movement that he saw a letter of the Lubavitcher Rebbe which says that as long as you have the prayer the prayer book in front of you and you're standing with the 18 benedictions, you can actually close your eyes if you feel you need to. This comes from the Baal Shem Tov, the one who inherited the tradition of the Arizal. The Arizal was in the 16th century, right? And then the Baal Shem Tov was in the 18th century. The Baal Shem Tov inherited all of the wisdom and knowledge of the Arizal, and he made it accessible for the common man. And then the Baal Shem Tov started a whole movement which saved Eastern European Judaism. And then in the later generations, the 2 generations after the Baal Shem Tov, you have the Alter Rebbe, the first Rebbe of Lubavitch. And the writing teachings of the Alter Rebbe and the Rebbes of Lubavitch, the teaching is to look, even while you're standing in the silent prayer, look at the letters. The Baal Shem Tov said, now I'll reveal, if God permits me, I will reveal a mystery here on YouTube for the whole world. No, perhaps just for me. So he says, open, with your eyes open is a small mind, mochin de katnut, and when you close your eyes, that's the great mind. That's the mochin de gadlut. If a person is in a state of greatness, of a spiritual elevation, then he will close his eyes. He won't be able to have his eyes open. But if he is in a state of a lower spiritual level, which is the normative state of living, mochin de katnut, where you don't see the whole picture, you look at your whole life and see eventually we're going to die, and then there's the afterlife and everything. And what's the difference between mochin de katnut and mochin de gadlut? Mochin de katnut, the small mind, when it is expressed by actually having our eyes open and looking at the words of the prayer book according to the Baal Shem Tov, Harav Yisrael ben Eliezer, he says that what is mochin de katnut? It's like the Rabbi Adin Steinsaltz explains that the small mind is the way we normally live, where we don't see the whole picture. Mochin de gadlut, according to Rabbi Steinsaltz, who said in a class 2 years ago, is when, if somebody has a baby, for instance, and everybody says Mazel Tov, you have a baby, and somebody in a state of mochin de gadlut, he says, why are you so happy? Don't you know that this baby is going to grow up and eventually someday going to die? So it's like, that's the level of living on mochin de gadlut. It's like people can't. It's someone on the level of mochin de gadlut is not so understood by the common man. Most 99.9% of people are on a state of a normal mind. We don't see so much ahead and behind, and we look at the whole picture and the cosmos and beyond the worlds and worlds beyond worlds and all of this. We're living here and we're living now, and that's when we have our eyes open, we see around us. When we close our eyes, what is closing the eyes? Closing the eyes is looking beyond. It's not just looking now and here, it's looking beyond to the whole picture. I bless you, whether you're in a state of the small mind or the great mind, it's all good. I bless you to pray, to feel the power of prayer, and to experience the power of prayer, and to pray from the siddur, like the Arizal and like the Baal Shem Tov, and like the Alter Rebbe of Lubavitcher, and like the Lubavitcher Rebbe, and like all of the great servants of God, the simple Jews, just simple Jews. They stand simply before God, looking at the words of the prayer, and once in a while, if you feel a tremendous overpowering of love and fear of the Holy One, blessed be He, and close your eyes and you see a glimpse beyond. God bless from Jerusalem.